Another very interesting day within the crypto markets, and the drama just seems like it won't ever end, right? We've now seen a massive hack coming in from Bybit, so we'll talk about that in today's show, what that means for price action moving forward. You can see, of course, the market putting in a bit of a pullback because there is fear around this. They stole a massive amount of ETH. It was over $1 billion worth of ETH that was hacked from one of Bybit's cold storage wallets. You may wonder, how does this happen from a cold storage wallet? Well, they were busy doing a routine transfer from a cold storage wallet to a hot wallet, and somehow they intercepted the multi-sig infecting all of the, at least the multi-sig signers devices, right? And that's how they were managing, or they managed at least to attack them. And now you're starting to see a pullback within the crypto markets. And I guess the main reason why is because we know the market hates uncertainty, right? And uncertainty will be, what is the hacker going to do with that ETH, right? Are they going to dump that ETH? So we'll talk about that in today's show. And I guess even if the average user thinks that, and at least it's player versus player, right? So the average user thinks that, well, even if they're not going to dump the ETH, but if everyone else thinks that they're going to dump the ETH, that already is enough to be cause for concern and could drop prices lower. So we'll talk about all of these things and more in today's show. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel and all that jazz. I'm coming to you over here on a Saturday morning, so please show me some love with the likes, right? Okay, let's get going. You have seen an increase in the 24-hour liquidations right now coming in with, instead before there was mostly a short squeeze that was taking place, we now have 323 million worth of long liquidations. The interesting thing that I want to highlight over here is, you remember this candle over here, as well as this one over here, where we saw over $2 billion worth of liquidations, the highest that we've ever seen within the crypto markets in terms of nominal numbers. Well, what's interesting is I thought I went back on this post over here, and it's the cycle of life when it comes to crypto, right? How, we all lose at some point, right? So you can see over here, this was from the CEO of Bybit, and that was all the way back on the 3rd of February, basically showcasing when he said that the number was closer to 2 billion, and CoinGlass with their APIs were not reporting the true data because it's limited in terms of how much goes through, and essentially says that, Bybit's 24-hour liquidations recorded on CoinGlass were 333 million. However, that's not all of the liquidations. They have API limits. And in fact, they can basically say that, the estimate from Bybit alone was much, much higher, right? They were looking at somewhere around, I think it was 5 times this amount. So that puts it somewhere around $1 billion, right? In the full circle, right? The cycle of life, full circle, come all the way back. And now Bybit get rugged for $1 billion. So that's gone. And ultimately, it's suspected, at least from Arkham, which tracks all these different wallets. They say over here that the 1 billion hack bounty was solved by 𝗧𝗢𝗡, on-chain expert and investigator. And he basically submitted definitive proof that the attack on Bybit was performed by Lazarus Group, right? Lazarus Group from North Korea. North Korea is an interesting topic. North Korea's primary GDP contributors are 3 things, one of which is hacking cryptocurrencies. They're absolute experts around that. The other thing is that they obviously specialize in nuclear weapons. And the third thing is they actually harvest their own people's organs, right? Believe it or not, they sell them to China. But you can look into that on your own, right? So absolutely crazy, guys. All that I can say is please protect yourself. It's very, very easy. There's a couple of things that you can do. Of course, if you are targeted by, a group like this, like Lazarus Group, well, you probably don't stand much chance, right? But they're not going to be targeting you or me. They're targeting people with billions, tens of billions, right? Like these big exchanges, they're going to be working relentlessly to find some sort of an attack vector and get through to them. They're not going to do it to us, but you can protect yourself at least from the average attack by doing simple things like having a VPN, right? I can't encourage you more to get a VPN. There's a link in the description below that will give you a 73% bonus, right? I always have my VPN on, always, always, always. That protects my IP address, right? So hackers firstly can't find exactly where I am location-wise and where I live. And secondly, on top of that, obviously I'm protected in case of a virtual hack, right? When they're trying to get through to my PC or my laptop. All right, anyway, let's continue on over here. Let's go through quickly, very quickly. It's going to be a quick show. I'm going through Bitcoin. I'm going through what are going to be possibly some of the top performing altcoins, as the market does float towards the upside, which is what we firmly believe is going to be the case. I'll show you why, right? Bitcoin dominance is still on the rise, so it's got a lot to do with that. So anyway, let's get straight into it. You know, stochastic RSIs are getting very, very close to resetting. We still want to see those weekly closes above $102,000. That's kind of the pivot level to shift the momentum. Major support remains at that $90,000 level and has not yet been breached. We do also have a hash ribbons buy indicator signal, which is going to be coming through very, very soon. Usually you go through these periods of capitulation, recontraction, and then you get those buy signals, and one is coming up very, very soon. Usually it's pretty accurate in terms of marking the major low. I think there's only been 1 or 2 instances where this has failed, so we'll update that when it does become relevant, which is very, very soon. Like in the next 24 to 48 hours, we should see a blue buy signal, and that will give a lot more confidence in the directional buys for where the market's going to go next. And that directional bias remains still towards the upside based on everything that we're seeing over here. Stochastic RSIs on the 5-day time frame literally about to cross up, right? Very, very, very close to crossing up. If we can hold here or just a little bit higher, you should get that inevitable cross. And we're looking for major expansion from the Bollinger Band with percentile, which should take price into the targeted level over here, which is going to be around that $120,000 to $130,000 zone. And I do believe that will be, again, another major profit-taking area, right? So yesterday we were holding a full-bodied green candle above the point of control, which is the white line running through the screen at this high volume area. And then, of course, yesterday's candle came and you had this massive candle towards the downside. But very quickly, bulls are trying to reclaim that level once again. And we're looking for a move at least up over here, right, into this zone over here, which that becomes the trappy environment between 102,500 and 103,000. We do need to look out for weakness. If there is that weakness, you could sweep all these lows once again, right? So that's what we're watching for over there. Otherwise, nothing has really changed despite the, call it news event that's come out over here. I also want to mention when it does come to that, I think that, you know, your funds are probably going to be fine on Bybit. At least in my personal opinion, Bybit make a lot of money and they are one-to-one backed, meaning that they have all of the users' funds, right? These things have, at least these big businesses have insurance funds, things like that. I think that you probably will be okay. Would I keep 100% of my net worth on Bybit? Absolutely not. That's insanity, right? But, you know, if you have a trading account over there, chances are it will be fine. I believe people that are trying to withdraw, the withdrawals are being processed, but because of congestion, it's going to be a bit slower. I also know that Binance and BitGet have also sent funds to Bybit as well to assist them. Okay, so there is that. All right, let's continue. We're still in the long trade. Nothing's changed over here. You would have been stopped out if you moved your stops to break even, which is what I said. If you're scared, you could do. Otherwise, my stop still remains all the way on the bottom over here. So there it is. My stop remains at that lower region over here underneath this candle from Tuesday, the 18th of February. I'm going to continue to maintain that positioning. We can look at Bitcoin over here on the 4-hour time frame. Another rejection from the 200 EMA. We said that we want to see multiple candle closes above. You did get a few, but not full body candle open and closes. We're looking for consecutive ones there, and that failed, right? So now we're looking at, again, trying to get back above that. The levels still remain the same. You can see the significance of this $99,000 region, which is your mid-range on the 4-hour time frame. We want to see price getting back above that. Now, Bitcoin dominance still looks stronger than not. You know, it's holding up over here at the fair value gap. It looks like it's floating onwards and upwards, which means that whatever altcoin you're going to choose, you want to make sure that you're outperforming Bitcoin at the very, very least, right? So others against BTC, well, this is possibly finding a bottom, but, you know, it could just lead to a short-term bounce and eventually fade through and come down to the lower boundary, which is why you need to be very selective on the altcoins that you are picking, right? So we'll go through a couple of coins over here today. I guess the narrative has really been around Ethereum versus Solana versus Sui versus Phantom, now labeled Sonic. These are some of the coins to look at in today's show. And I want to outline at least the ones in the short to medium time frame that I think would probably be most likely to outperform, right? There are also a couple of trades that I have just dropped in whale room. I'm busy scaling into one of the positions right now. For those of you that are in whale room, please go and check the Captain's Take section. For those of you that are not in whale room, there is a link below over here that will gain you access into whale room, which is where all of these trades are dropped, right? This was the hype trade from yesterday, up 25%. So there are a lot of trades over here that we've been taking, not just my channel, but also the team, right? You got the team over here absolutely crushing it. Look at that, absolutely amazing from 𝗓𝗓𝗪𝗓, crushing it with plenty of profitable trades over there. These are our professional coaches, right? So you can get education, you can get traditional markets, you got everything that you need over there. We have multiple proficient full-time traders over there assisting you each and every single day. Now let's get straight into it. Okay, what are the altcoins? As mentioned, ETH, SOL, SUI, Phantom, now labeled Sonic, Hype. These are some of the ones that I want to have a look at and which are going to be the most likely to outperform. So you can see ETH, BTC, still heavy. We have to measure Ethereum against Bitcoin. We have to measure Solana against Bitcoin, SUI against Bitcoin, Phantom or Sonic against Bitcoin, and then Hype against Bitcoin. And I'll show you which ones I think are most likely to outperform. So this has been pretty abysmal. And can you believe it? ETH can't catch a break. Now the hackers have the ETH, which they might be looking to dump. They've already, I think, washed it through Tornado Cash and split it into multiple wallets. And I don't know what they're going to do with it, right? Because it's been washed, it means that theoretically they could sell it into USDT or USDC, which would, of course, dump the ETH price even further. Some people say, because you can freeze at least if it does get moved into Tether as a semi-centralized organization could theoretically freeze those funds. And the same is true with USDC. But now they're not going to know which are their tokens, right? Because, of course, it's been washed. It's been moved through Tornado Cash. So if they do sell, how much worse could this get? I guess, you would have to look all the way down to these lower levels, right? I mean, we've already hit those zones over here. You have to look down to the next major levels of support, which would be 0.01733. I would say monitor the USD pair as well for at least better opportunities. But I think, in the short term, this is probably not going to outperform. Let's go to SOL BTC over here as well, and we can have a look at SOL BTC. Well, SOL BTC has broken through the bottom of the trading range. If you can get a deviation over here and you can start to break back inside the trading range, then there would be some hopium that was a trap scenario, right? Sometimes you get what's called the power of three, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to happen on Solana BTC. But what the power of three looks like is you have this long-term accumulation period over here, and then you have this manipulation phase where you break down. But the second that you can reclaim back into the trading range, that deviation is the confirmation that you've had that shakeout period where you shook out the final bulls, turned them bearish, shake them out of the position. But again, while it's outside that trading range, you do not have a trigger, right? You need to wait for this to get back in the trading range. If it gets back in the trading range, you have a long setup, stops go over here, entry over here, and then you can start to play the power of three. Power of three, again, accumulation, manipulation, and then expansion, right? Expansion, where you'd look for much higher prices. We've seen this multiple times. We took a trade just like this on Chainlink from the bottom when it was around $5. I'm not going to pull it up for the sake of time. I want to keep the show relatively short, but that's a plan of action for those of you out there. That's what we're looking at. Until that happens, SOL BTC is weak, so that's probably not the best pick. One of the better ones that I found over here that I thought looked pretty decent is going to be at least, let's just quickly clean that up over there, SUI BTC, right? Why SUI BTC? Well, one reason is you've also had the long-term reaccumulation. You broke out the trading range. You broke back into the trading range. You found support roundabout at that mid-range level, and you have moving average support, whereas the others are all below the moving averages, right? On top of that, if you take your Fibonacci tool and you run a fib extension, which is sometimes more accurate than just the usual fib retracements, but a fib extension from with a trend-based fib extension from the low to the high, down to the low. This is under the presumption that this is a confirmed local low, which based on the wick, it looks like it is. Then we have something to work with, right? If you take it to the 0.618, you're looking at a price move on SUI against BTC back towards the highs over there. And if we can get to the 100% level, you're looking at 7218 at the 100% level, which is, as you can see, the risk to reward ratio, quite a high move. And then you got to 1.618, which would be the extreme and the end of the move, in my opinion, would come at, that is 10065 are the last 5 digits over there, right? So 10,065 are the last digits in the Bitcoin, or at least in the Satoshi value, right? Bitcoin to, or SUI to BTC ratio. So that's what I'm looking at over there so far. Out of ETH, out of SOL, out of SUI, SUI is the best, right? SUI is going to be the best pick, which means you'd be looking at SUI outperforming. If it's not going to outperform Bitcoin, you may as well just buy Bitcoin, right? So that's the purpose of the show, is to showcase that you want to measure things specifically against Bitcoin. So I'd be watching this very, very carefully. You can have a stop pretty much below those lows, which is at that moving average over there. If you want a looser stop, you can, of course, go below the bottom of the low over there. All of this is being dropped in detail in Whale Room. For those of you that are there and you want to actually have a look at the exact numbers and the strategies, etc., please go into Whale Room for a more long-ended look at things, right? Then we started to have a look at, of course, Sonic. Yes, I'm charting Phantom because we need price history, right? It's been rebranded to Sonic, but the price action over here is still exactly the same. So Phantom measured against BTC is the same thing as Sonic measured against BTC. And this is still downtrending. You have to call a spade a spade. It's been very exciting. It's been wonderful on the USD pair. But at the end of the day, this is still downtrending. We need to see much more from this in order to break out. But I guess for those of you that love your bullish hopium, you kind of have this falling wedge structure, which tends to resolve in a bullish fashion, right? Where you get these breakouts. But this has got a lot of work to do. Personally, I definitely wouldn't be moving my BTC into Sonic until such time as I saw a more marked up move like that and some sort of a high low that's forming. I want to buy into, established trends. Okay, established trends, or at least into a decent horizontal level that gets reclaimed, which we haven't yet seen. So again, ETH, Sol, Sui, Phantom. Sui still remains the best pick in my opinion. And then we can have a look over here at Hype, right? The reason that we have to look at Hype on a lower time frame is because also we don't have that much price history. Hype against BTC looks very similar to Hype against, and we'll go to that. It looks very, very similar to Hype measured against, where's Hype over here? Against its USD pair, right? So if you look at those two charts next to each other, you can see it's super similar, right? Which means for the most part, it's been holding up against Bitcoin. So that would be the USD pair trade that we're looking at least in Whale Room, to try and scale into that position. That was part of the trades, at least that I took yesterday, where we got the price move towards the upside over here. Where's that trade over here? Hype. So that was this trade that we have over here. We're trying to get a swing trade, but I'm running at a quite high leverage. So I get stopped out here and there, but at break even or in slight profit. And then we try again, right? We're looking to build pretty big positions. This is still floating up, right? These are higher highs and high lows. We don't have too much else to work with, but the only two that are holding above all those key moving averages is Sui and Hype, right? So Sui is probably the safer bet if you're someone going in with size. If you want a more risky play, then I think Hype would be the next one that you're looking at, right? If you do want to take any of these trades, I will remind you as well, there is a link in the description below that will take you through to �we. There's currently a promotional offer that's running where if you deposit $100 onto �we using the link below, you can get up to $200, right? Up to $200 for free. This promotion is going to end very, very soon, I think by the end of the weekend. So please use that while you can. Also, that can be your entry ticket with a $100 deposit as well for your trading education. Come through to Whale School. We start in 2 days' time. On Monday, we start on Monday. We're going to start with Whale School on Monday. Learn to trade like a whale in just 10 days, right? I teach you absolutely everything in that school, right? All right. So I know it's tough times within the market. Stay strong, guys. We've been through a lot, but this is what's required. If it weren't this difficult, everybody would be in the space and everybody would make money. The fact that there are difficulties like the hacks, the rugs, right? The liquidations, the volatility, the price manipulation and suppression from various different organizations like Jane Street, etc. The fact that we have all of this creates opportunity, because it means if you can overcome those challenges, you can make it to the other side and you can succeed in the space. So that's from me. I'll see you all on the next one. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And again, I'll see the rest of you in Whale Room while we're busy building that trade on bearish chain, right? I'm going to let you know about that position shortly. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day, everyone, and cheers for now.